Welcome. You are listening and watching to another Scoutcast from FFScoutCast.co.uk. My name is John T.
And my name is Az.
So we're really down to the bare bones here, aren't we? I think rotation has kicked in, not just in the Fantasy Premier League, but also on the Scoutcast. So Mark can't be here because he is on telly. Andy can't be here because he's moving house. Luke can't be here because he's working. And just in the nick of time, Granville was joining us. So welcome, Granville.
Oh, have you just started?
Yeah, just this second.
Started. Yeah.
I was just explaining that we were down to the real dregs of the bench, and me and Az, we were like rotation had kicked in, and then you appeared. So that's great to see you there. So, and Az is about to reveal what's on tonight's show. Or not.
I'd muted myself. That's a good start.
I was wondering. I thought it was my machine or something. Then.
No, I was hoping you were going to do it in mime.
Yeah, I could have interpretive dance. That'd be
excellent. So now with speech.
Yeah, now we speak. So we're going to be looking at rotation today. So not just on the Scoutcast, but actual players as well in our fantasy teams. We're going to be looking at goalkeepers. So now. Some of the cheaper goalkeepers aren't in the picture anymore. So who do we upgrade to if we've got some 4.0s in our team? We're going to be looking at the midfield template. Is it time to bring in some differentials and smash it? Because there is definitely a template emerging, as we're going to talk about. And Granville's big question, does club loyalty affect our fantasy decisions? Which has been giving me a lot to ponder today. So it's going to be interesting to hear your thoughts on that as well. And as usual, we're going to be doing the rough with the smooth, look back at our game weeks, and then Fantasy Island risks and clean sheets.
Excellent. So yeah, first off, we've got to have a look back at our rotation hit game week. And Granville and myself are top of the pile this week. So Granville, you can go first. Tell us about how game week 14 went for you.
Oh well, yeah, it was pretty good actually. It started off. I mean, I had. As no one had a great game week, but I had at the back. Let me just check. Sorry, I'm not ready here. Okay, let's see. The Salah was obviously the big one, but everyone's got Salah, and it's only really if you got him captain you get a differential there. Duffy and Moreno, 2 clean sheets. Forster, a load of saves. And that was kind of to my detriment, really, because I've got these 2 City strikers, and Jesus had a number of chances which Foster saved, and it's kind of, I'm getting the save points, but really I want the goals from Jesus. And I captain Morata. It was just I brought him in. I was pondering whether to captain one of the City players on Morata, and I put it on Morata. I thought new player. I really fancied him for this week, but he blew it, didn't he? So it wasn't too bad. I mean, the thing is, that was on the Sunday, on the Wednesday, sorry. But the Tuesday, everyone had Kane. Obviously, I haven't got Kane. And when I saw he just scored the 1 goal, I was pretty happy with that. I thought it could have been a lot worse, but I guess it quite often happens where the next the Wednesday or the Sunday, you don't actually get the points that you need to make up for what happened on the Saturday. But I still did all right, and 55 I'm quite happy with. Sorry for going on.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, I did exactly the same. I got 55 as well. I also brought Morata in. I went for Kane. I just always fancied him for away games. I don't have any hesitation with Kane away, even if Spurs are playing bad. And yeah, so I got the Sterling points, the Salah points, Duffy, and Fabianski helped me out here. So Elliot was a bit of a shock. And so we're going to talk about goalkeepers a bit later. And I'm one of those that have a second goalkeeper, and he came in. And Fabianski happened to put in one of his best performances of the season to get 5 points. So I was quite pleased with that. So yeah, I'm up to the top 50k for the time being. I'm not anticipating staying there for long. But I'll just rattle through some of the others before we get to ours. Mark got 48. Wasn't so lucky with the goalkeeper. He's still hanging on to Tim Krul, but I've got a feeling Tim Krul's going to be going from his team very soon, and also Captain Kane there. Andy 47, very similar as well. Niassi and Hazard came in for Choupo-Moting. and Lukaku. So he didn't do too badly there. That could have gone horrendously wrong after Hazard only got the 1 point. Who he captained though, Captain Hazard. Luke got 43, Captain Morata. So everyone's kind of captaining their new intake except for myself. And Az, you, how did your game week go?
Well, seeing as I'm last on the list, I think that gives quite a good indication of it. Can we talk about Saturday? I had quite a good weekend. Like, I went from 9,000 down to 6,000. That was nice. And then Tuesday came along, and I bought in Hazard for a hit, along with Nias, just because I was just sure that Aguero wasn't going to play. He played in the Champions League. He'd played in the match. I wasn't expecting him to play anyway. And then I just thought, well, he's just definitely going to get a rest in this match. There was no news about Sané or anything like that, which could have affected my decision. So I thought, well, if I'm going to lose Aguero, then I want to get in a player who I want for the long term, and that would be Hazard. So I'll just take the hit now and kind of get that out of the way. I didn't captain him, luckily. I went for Kane. I was toying with it all week, for a couple of days, but ended up going with Kane. But yeah, then Tuesday came and I was doing all right. I had a Duffy clean sheet. I had Kane points. I was down to 4K. Everything was looking rosy. And then I think you can only describe Wednesday as just absolute hell for loads of people. It
was that team sheet, wasn't it? The City team sheet, and so many people saw on the site had 4 or 5. Someone had 5 of the midfielders all benched or rotated or just not even on the bench, which is pretty tough going. I mean, you got Sané, didn't you? And the last 2 game weeks have been a bit disappointed.
I know, and the problem was because I bought in the ass as well for a kind of long-term move. It meant that my bench was a lot more weakened. So I ended up with Firmino coming in with his big 0 points. So he might as well not have played. And it wasn't just City, was it? It was Salah being benched and Hazard being benched and Azpilicueta being benched. Like it was absolute chaos. Carnage on the site.
You transferred in Nias, who you knew wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
The weekend.
Because,
okay.
Well,
I guess you need it as an enabler for Hazard.
Yeah, it was him or Calvert-Lewin. They were kind of the only ones I could afford. And I spoke to some Everton supporters and sort of asked a few people who was most likely to kind of play, and everyone just said Nias is the only one putting any effort in. He'll be straight back in the team when he's back. So I'm hoping that he gets his place back.
Well, actually, Calvert-Lewin had a pretty good game, so
I was pretty upset.
I'd be slightly concerned about that. For the
I am, yeah, and I'm going to try and play Nias this week, I think, because if he does play, I think against Huddersfield it's quite a good game. I just need to work out who I'm going to bench.
So well, I don't think he did too badly. I think 39 points is not great, but could have been much worse considering all of the rotation.
Took me out of the top 10K, which was.
But you had a top. But there you are. Look, you're still lounging around near the top 10K. So a lot of us are very jealous of that. So, but there are some people with rougher or equally as rough game weeks. So we've had one, John Machin via Twitter. So he transferred out Kevin De Bruyne for Hazard. On paper, quite a good move, but he captained Hazard as well. So Don, the special one, he had the lot basically. Dan, Sané, Hazard. All benched, captains Hazard as well, got 38 points, a little less than you. Pompel is very annoyed with his City trio of Otamendi, who I understand was falsely accused of scoring at one point, and then
I've got my hopes up.
Cruelly taken off him. David Silva is benched, but he got Sterling, so he's okay there. So and Pumpkinhead, they got rid of Vardy, who scored, of course, and got bonus and transferred in as part of an 8-point hit. Hazard. And just a final one of the roughs, My Pretty Ponies, Peter on our site. He contributes a lot to articles, and he's in the top 5 of our Hall of Fame. He knows what he's doing. He took a 12-point hit. He decided complete overhaul, so it involved Sterling out, so Hazard in, not good timing there, and Lukaku out for Morata. I think he estimates it's something like 30 points down. But he did captain Salah, so he took a risk there. So I just imagine what was going through his mind as the game week of horror is unfolding, all his missed points. The only thing he's got to cling on to is possibility of Salah coming in. And then he did, and obviously did really well for him. So, but yeah, I understand, as there's quite a few smooths as well.
Yeah, just on Salah though, it's quite annoying watching him now and seeing him score these goals, not having him captained, and I don't even get excited because it's not going to really affect anything. It's
gone up to 50% ownership.
Yeah. If anything,
So,
scoring puts you down a bit.
He's now reached that point where you kind of don't want him to score if you haven't captained him, which is a terrible thing to have.
Yeah,
I think the way I look at it is that I've had him in from game week 1 and I've got all the points. Not all the points I could have got because obviously I could have captained him. And actually, the 2 times I did captain him, it was one time he was benched, the other time he missed a penalty. So I think if I ever captain him, he'll probably get nothing anyway. So I think I'm just quite happy having him, and we'll see what happens in the future. I think maybe another Liverpool player. I am looking at Mane. I think.
So am I.
Yeah.
So as they feature in our smooth section, don't they?
Yeah. So I think on that, people who captained Salah this week had a good week, and if you didn't, you probably had a kind of an average one, unless you were someone like me. But so as Sam captained Salah, he had Hazard as a vice, so I guess he was nearly went for that. So that was quite a big, probably about a 13-point swing on that, which is quite nice. Red Lightning in our Mods and Cons League, he captained Salah, had Sané vice captain. So again, dodged a bit of a bullet there. Had double Arsenal defence. I mean, who's got double Arsenal defence? They've kept 2 clean sheets now, and Kolasinac is looking like he's back in getting attacking returns. I think he's a good pick after this United game, possibly. He got 75 points this week, Red Lightning, which was the highest in our league. Ronnie Hot Dog. So Granville mentioned Mane. He actually captained Mane this week, so he's really ahead of the curve. And Mane isn't anywhere near these kind of midfield templates that we're going to talk about later. So I think Mane is a really strong pick if you're looking for someone a bit different and to get in to run alongside Salah with some good fixtures coming up. And Kloptimist, he showed the value of having a strong bench. He had Moreno and Duffy, who came in for Sané and Azpilicueta, 13 points off the bench. And you look around at the rotation, you look at my team, I didn't have anyone anywhere near that. So it just shows that in this period, having a strong bench is key.
Yeah, and especially with all that rotation going on. And I understand the first question really does capture the zeitgeist of that moment. So what's the first question then?
Oh, it's FPL Virgin, who asks which big names are likely to be rested this weekend, and is anyone truly fixture and rotation proof?
Well, I mean, I think we've had some clues here. I mean, it's been quite nice to just guess and just go, well, no one is. But we have had some key clues, and we've got to stick with those clues. And so we've had some nice, easy clues from Liverpool and Chelsea. So Azpilicueta and Hazard were rested. I'm going to be bold and say they're 100% nailed on to play, unless they're ill or something like that. I think they're going to play the Newcastle tie, so I think they're safe. Morata could be a doubt, as could people like Alonso. I don't want to really speculate, though. I think Azpilicueta and Hazard. But then Liverpool, so Salah, left out, benched. He's had his rest. There's no way he's going to be left out. He's nailed on as well. So I think, if you're looking for captains, Hazard and Salah are definitely going to play. Coutinho too, I suspect is going to play unless there's something behind the scenes there. And there's some other clues as well. So Brighton looked shattered against Palace after the Manchester United game. Chris Huhn has said as much. Murray and Duffy are both on 4 yellow cards. So they've got Liverpool next. To be honest, they're not expected to get anything from that. And then they've got Huddersfield afterwards. They would be expected to get something from that. That could be a game against a relegation rival. So I'm going to speculate here that one or both of Murray and Duffy are going to get a rest. Probably Murray, I think, for Hemed. And then a couple of other clues I noticed. Pochettino's press conference today, he started talking about how Eriksen was feeling mentally drained, not physically. Had to get in qualified to say, not physically. He's a wonderful Danish specimen of a man, wonderful. And but when managers start dropping those kinds of hints, it tends to think, well, are they actually going to make the team sheet? And then, of course, City was the last big hint, I think. I think David Silva benched. I'm going to say he's going to start. Sané is on 4 yellow cards. So I'm wondering if the same might apply there, because they've got a nice easy game against Ham, then a Manchester derby. So if I was Guardiola there, I know which one I'd like him to play it. So I'm not going to say it's going to be benched, but I don't know. How about yourself, Granville? Was there any you noticed that you think, definite to start, definitely won't start?
Well, so I have to say, though, because there was a game at the weekend and there was a game midweek, it would have been nice actually to have a podcast in between, because I would have said that I actually thought that Sané was a chance of getting rested, and that was really down to his performance at the weekend. And also, I don't know if you listened to it, but Pep did an interview, and he mentioned briefly that he could play Aguero and Jesus together. It was just in passing. He says it's an option that he could do. And as soon as he said that, I thought, I think he's going to do it this next game. And there we are. He played both of them. It didn't actually work out, but I've been waiting, because I've got the 3 City attackers, and I've been waiting pretty much all season
patiently
for all 3 of them to play in one game, and they did do this time. Unfortunately, I didn't get much out of it, but there you go. Now, which one of those 2 strikers? I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Sané plays, then one of the 2 strikers isn't going to play. Likelihood it's not going to be Jesus, I would have thought. But if Sané isn't fit, if he actually genuinely isn't fit, I'm not too sure. I think he was probably just rested. But if he genuinely isn't fit, then maybe he will play both of them again. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to look back at that weekend game, the Southampton game, and go, we didn't actually perform we didn't score, we didn't put them away. Although they did have chances, particularly in that first half, we didn't put them away. Was that just down to just bad shooting or tiredness, or is it down to just it not working with those 2 strikers? I don't know.
I mean, you're going to still stick with your Jesus and Aguero. You're not tempted to.
I have been looking at doing 2 transfers. Losing Jesus and actually upgrading a midfield Zaha to possibly De Bruyne.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
For that, it's or Mane. It's just for that peace of mind. I think now. I think I've done all right with those 2 strikers, but yeah, it's not really a long-term thing when you're not sure that both of them are going to be playing all games. And considering I got Sterling as well, I mean, I think I'm well covered as long as Sterling plays. So I think I can certainly downgrade Jesus. And yeah, it's a game against West Ham, though. I mean, I think you need to go in that game with 3 City players.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I think it does.
So, as with any that we haven't mentioned that you've kind of picked up on, any hints, clues from managers?
Well, it's just it's what you've mentioned, really. I mean, I swapped Sterling for Sané a few weeks ago, and I think that him getting that yellow card after the match had ended last weekend was, a real. Yeah, it was just awful him getting that, because it put him on the suspension tightrope. It obviously, I reckon it annoyed Pep, because it's an exchange which doesn't need to happen. They've won the game. That he doesn't need to get involved in things like that. So it must be quite annoying for your manager, as the manager, to see your player get involved in something like that. So it could have been that he just kind of took him out of this game and put him on a naughty step and said step on the wrist. It could be a genuine virus, a 24-hour bug. It just seems a little bit unlikely to me that he just come down with that and then suddenly he's okay again. But I think, like Granville said, they did struggle against Southampton, and they missed Silva particularly, and they also missed Sané's pace. Obviously they've got Sterling, but I think they're just a much better team with those 2 players in, and it's gonna they need to keep this momentum going, and I think, to me, he has to put them back in for this West Ham game, because you never know what can happen, particularly against these teams that are quite low down. There could be a surprise. So I think they're going to play, but you never know with Pep. I think Liverpool's an interesting one, because he does seem to be resting these. Every week it seems to be a player being rested. So I think Mane had a rest a few weeks ago. Firmino's had a rest. Now Salah's had a rest. Solanke looks. Coutinho as well. Yep, as well had a rest. So he's happy to kind of chop and change and bring in Sturridge, bring in Solanke. So it's also, I think, both of those teams, rotation is really going to bite hard. But I think you just need to pick your players and just stick with them and just sort of see the schedule through.
I think, going back to Silva, I mean, I'm a David Silva owner, and I'd like to be in Hazard owner. And I think there's lots of us having a look at the transfer market. There does seem to be a lot, because the transfer's out for Silva. So I just want to issue a plea really to David Silva owners before his price goes down. Before I want to make a decision, just please stop. Just take time to consider it and make that move tomorrow. But anyway, I understand. Right, next question then. Az, what's the next question?
Sorry, just one thing on that. I think one of the interesting things is Christensen. So where does he feature in this rotation schedule? Because it seems to me that he's actually looking more nailed on with all this stuff about Luiz coming out and things. So if he plays every game over this winter schedule, then he's an absolute steal at 5.4.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's actually looking like one of the safer options, especially with Alonso and Azpilicueta. So Azpilicueta works so hard as well, and then you've got the right wing back and the left wing back roles. Obviously, there's a lot of work rate there. It feels with Christensen, I don't know. I mean, I think pretty certain all players are going to get some kind of rest, because this schedule we're experiencing now is just going to get worse. There's much more of that coming up. So I don't think any player is going to play all of them. They'll just be run to the ground. But I think you're right. I think Christensen might escape with just like the one rest over the rest of December, especially with Luiz. But yeah. So we're going further back in the team from defence to into back goalkeepers. Understand next question.
So we have a very dramatically worded topic here, which is the end of the 4.0 goalkeeper nigh. Well, it kind of is, isn't it? Because Elliott's been benched now, and Speroni's not playing. And there doesn't seem to be any other keepers who are that cheap. I think the cheapest now is a 4.3 with someone like Grant or Hennessy if you want to take the risk on him. So what do you do, I think, is the question. If you've got two of these 4.0 goalkeepers like Mark does, who do you go for? Do you spend a lot, or do you just get someone in quite cheap?
I like how a few weeks since his wild card, which we ribbed him about, is still coming back to bite him.
I know. This is the final. I mean, it's a shame he's not here, because we could have had ticker tape parade, because this is the final awful mistake of his wild card, because he's done really brilliantly over the last few weeks, dismantling that dreadful wild card and bit by bit, and he's done fantastically. I mean, getting Hazard in before anyone else and things like that, absolutely brilliant. And this is the final one. He thought he could ride it out, and there he was. It was a cruel blow.
Oh, you didn't.
And having to spend a transfer on a goalkeeper is not something you want to do unless you're in a wild card.
But yeah, so we've got. I mean, this is a lot of the people in that situation, and a lot of people actually like to have two goalkeepers. So a lot of people now in the situation where they perhaps got Speroni and they're thinking, what are we going to do there? I've got, or perhaps Krul and Elliott as well, like Mark. So, I mean, I'm going to put a name out there, and this links into another question from Earth and M66: is should we get excited about the appointment of Sam Allardyce at Everton? And how will this appointment affect our fantasy teams? Well, something that tends to happen when Sam Allardyce takes over a team after 3 or 4 weeks is he gets the defence sorted. So suddenly a team with no clean sheets goes for absolutely lots. So I know Everton did get a clean sheet just now, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot of them. So I'm going to say Jordan Pickford. I know he's 4.8, but he got 13 points in penalty save as well. And I just think with him coming in, Everton have got good fixtures as well. So 5 of the next 7 right up until January are really kind, I think. And he's also worth playing for save points. So he's got Liverpool away, game week 16, and he's got Chelsea at home, game week 19. They're literally the only bad fixtures for the rest of the year, the rest of the calendar year, that is. And I just think, as Fabianski showed, that he's going to get save points there. So I think you could put him in, and I think he's going to play every game. But I just wanted to add one else thing, because I just mentioned Fabianski there. So every now and again, I've got a table of good and bad goalkeepers. So I click on a button that says minutes per save, and that pretty much tells you who is the form goalkeeper. So for ages, it's been Pope, and you can see because he's racking up points. Well, he's just been overtaken by Fabianski. Now, Fabianski had an absolute amazing game against Chelsea, but that's taken him. So he's making minutes per save is now 20 minutes, and Pope is down to 23 minutes. So, I mean, I would definitely, for 4.6, I would be recommending getting Fabianski in, I think, as well, because at the moment, he's currently the best keeper in a side with absolutely no attack whatsoever. So that's going to be a bonus possibly as well.
I think I do agree with you, actually. I think Swansea have looked like a side who can get clean sheets. I mean, considering that's only Everton's second clean sheet of the season, I think I would just hold off because you're not going to get that much from a goalkeeper if he doesn't get any clean sheets. I mean, second clean sheet out of 14. It's not clever. I do appreciate they've got a new manager now, and they might tighten up. I'm sure they will tighten up, but it's still that defence doesn't give me any confidence. I think Williams has slowed down a lot, and Baines is in and out because he's injured now. And is Keane? Is he injured?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an injury, so we don't know how serious or how long he's out for. But I mean, Keane, interestingly, looks on paper a big Sam player, big guy, good at set pieces. I don't know, could be good, but yeah, he's injured at the moment, so ignore him.
Yeah, I think with the goalkeeper, I mean, you could kind of make a case now for spending a bit more and getting in someone like Courtois or De Gea. I mean, Courtois got, you know, the most amazing run of games I think I've ever seen, you know, up until the new year. And if Conte is thinking about giving rest to some of his defenders, because I wasn't expecting Azpilicueta to get a rest. You know, maybe getting in someone like De Gea or Courtois could you know, mitigate that and let you know, sort of tap into these clean sheets.
I think that's definitely the case with Manchester United now, because Jones was a godsend, but now he's reverting back to type, as in not playing and being horrifically injured all the time. But Christensen at Chelsea has changed it, I think, there. I think if there wasn't, I think if you were looking at having to spend 6.5 or over 6 million, I think Courtois would have been a great choice. But I think you've got Christensen there, so I think you can afford to go back. And we've seen it time and again, season after season. These cheap goalies in bad sides who put in lots of saves, they're going to just rack up lots of fantasy points.
Yeah, for me, Pope's still number one. You know, his minutes per saves might have gone down a bit, but Burnley are going to keep some more clean sheets. They're just so resilient. My
only slight concern with Pope, and it's really slight, because Heaton's only really just started building up his muscles in his arm again, I think. So I think, but it looks like about 4 or 5 weeks' time, you're going to possibly, if you've just got Pope and a non-playing other goalkeeper, you may be having to make another goalkeeper move in 4 or 5 weeks. I know people can't really think about that now because we've got to get Christmas out of the way, but that does kind of that's why I slightly favour the likes of Pickford and Fabianski at the moment. But you know, obviously you can't argue Pope is great.
What do we think about West Brom with Pardew? I saw a great post on it, which was a summary of what they think is going to happen to West Brom now Pardew's in. It's going to we're going to be absolutely fantastic for, you know, a couple of weeks, and then just absolutely get decimated by everyone, and then he'll get sacked to get a massive payout. And I just thought, yeah, that literally happens everywhere he goes, doesn't it? So short term.
He's I understand that he's not too keen on alpha males in the side as well. So if you've got, I'm not sure who it is in the West Brom fans may know, but I know it was certainly the case with Glenn Murray. Doesn't like those strong figures. He likes to be the man. And Jedinak, etc. as well at Palace, they tend to be moved on. So if you're a bit meek and you say, yes, sir, at West Brom, I think find out who those players are, because they're going to stay and they're probably going to do well.
Well, he'll fall out with people, won't he? Because he's that sort of guy. He's an arrogant, horrible person.
Well, I mean, there's some famous aggressive altercations, but there's also that famous dance. And I mean, to be honest, if I was a West Brom player and he came into the dressing room and started doing that at me, well, I'd transfer request instantly to anywhere. Yeovil. Even.
I've been sitting on, you know, you always have that player, it's normally a defender, cheap defender, who you want to get rid of. You look at him in your team, you think, I'm going to get rid of him next week, and you never ever get around to it. And I've had Higazi in my side since about game week 3, straight after he stopped getting clean sheets, and he's been woeful. Such a bad defender, getting into bad positions, and I've always stuck in like second or third sub, but quite often he's come on, for 1 point or sometimes no points. It's been such a massive disappointment. And then last week I saw that you put him in your scout picks. I thought, what you did? How did he?
And you know what? He almost got a clean sheet against Spurs.
I know he did. I would have been excellent. I'd have been a bit annoyed because he didn't come on for me, but I don't know what to do. I think there's not that many players. I mean, if I'm a wild card, then I'd definitely be getting rid of him. But I just can't spend a transfer on him and just downgrade him to anyone, because there isn't anyone. Maybe me or somebody like that. But I don't really want. Yeah.
So I've got Hunemeyer, who I probably need to get rid of. We talked about it last week. He's a bit different because I would need to spend a bit of money on him, but it was a bit of an alarm sounding this week, and I just don't want to. I just don't want to spend a transfer on it. I don't want to put any more money into my fifth.
But at least you haven't got a goalkeeper that you have to sell this week.
Well, that's true.
So I think it's a little bit better.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis this week on having to make transfers for people you just don't want, like goalkeeper or your 4.5 defender. But as the next question is about midfielders. Now, I think this might even be, these are the kind of almost like luxury moves, really. But I understand you've got some stats from our good friends at FPL Discovery about what the midfield template is at the moment, and some people and some players that we could kind of shake it up a bit.
Yeah, so FPL Discovery's midfield template is my midfield, which is actually quite depressing because I've played the game this year kind of a bit more mavericky than normal with my wing backs and then my 3 up top, and now it just seems that I've kind of digressed back to the mean of these players. So I was a bit upset to read this, but the template that's emerged is Salah, of course, 50% of the game. Hazard, who might only have a low ownership overall, but actually in the top 10,000. So this is where these stats are based. Hazard has a 26% ownership, so it's much higher.
I think it's key just to point out that it's key to look at the top 10,000, not just because they're really high up as well. It's just because these are a sample of 10,000 very active managers. Yeah. And because they're high up, they presume they know what they're doing. There's not much point looking at the midfield template for the whole 5 million people, because that's going to have whatever the midfield equivalent of the Garci is. So, but yeah, sorry, I just interrupted.
No, that's a good point. And so then Richarlison and Gross, they feature one or both of those. And then it's the City mid, so it's kind of a bit of a lottery who people have got, but it's between Sané, Sterling, and Silva. And then on the bench is the Magic Bean himself, Loftus-Cheek, or Tom Carroll, who Tom Carroll actually made the starting lineup. I think there's been a bit of a worry about him not maybe being out of the team, but now Sanchez is passing to billboards or advertising logos. If you saw that, then maybe Carroll's back in the frame, so that's nice for whoever's got him on the bench.
Yeah, so we've had some questions around that. So Karen 14 was saying, should we start considering other options? So he's familiar with the names we all mentioned, and so he's mentioned a couple of others here. So he's put Paul Pogba in. Now it looked like with all the transfers in that everyone was getting him in, but looking at the top 10K template and even the overall template midfield according to FPL Discovery, Pogba's nowhere to be seen. So he is a template buster at the moment. And another he mentions is Ramsey there as well. So I mean Granville. Those are 2 names there. Is there any others there, or do you have any particular thoughts about Pogba or Ramsey?
I tell you one I have been looking at, and he's dirt cheap as a 5th midfielder, is Will Hughes, who's actually grabbed a couple of goals over the last few games. But I believe did he go off?
Yeah, he looks like he's injured, so we don't know the extent of that. But it is annoying because he is that cheap. What kind of put me off him though, and it's nothing to do with Will Hughes. It's just because I've got Richarlison, and a lot of other people got Richarlison. In fact, around a fifth of the game had, and I just couldn't bring myself to double up
with an Andy.
But we now welcome Andy.
Well, I've doubled up with Palace after saying that I wouldn't do, and I sort of regret it because when I put Zaha's done nothing since I got him, and he blocked Loftus-Cheek's 7 points a week before. So at the minute, I'm considering getting rid of Zaha. And he would be the one, but he's just so erratic. You just don't know what he's going to do from week to week.
So now Andy's shown up. Let's throw him in right at the deep end. Just ask him a question, see how he goes. So we're just talking about midfielders. Some posters wondering if we should be shaking up the midfield template a bit, and just wondered if you had any midfielders in mind to put in, and something a bit different to climb up the rankings.
I don't know if I've got anyone completely out of the blue. Have you guys already said anyone?
Well, I was just mentioning that Karen at 14 had mentioned Pogba and Ramsey.
Ramsey would be on my list, I think. I think the problem with Arsenal is they've got quite a few away games, so I'm not completely sure about them. But yeah, I think Ramsey's ticking over nicely. I tweeted this morning he's only just behind Sterling and Sané in the points, kind of going quietly. I don't think there's players like Sanchez just too expensive. So Ramsey will be on my list. Fabregas as well, I suppose. Maybe Shaqiri. Not really getting a look in ahead of Choupo-Moting in most people's teams, but I think he's probably doing a little bit better. But I don't know if I'd be looking past the template right now. I mean, it's there for a reason. You know what I mean? I know there is a template. I saw as mentioned it right at the start. I don't know if I'd be looking away from it right now to climb up the rankings. I don't know if that's where. I mean, Granville mentioned De Bruyne earlier. Maybe he's one you could try and get in, but it just seems crazy to go for him ahead of Sterling and Sané. So I'm actually struggling to look past the template right now. But Ramsey would definitely be on.
I think you got De Bruyne with a 5-3-2 or with a downgraded forward. It'd have to be three. It'd have to be say Salah, De Bruyne, and maybe Sterling or Sané. I think you can afford those three and a cheaper, one of the cheapest strikers. Can I just throw in another name actually, who we haven't mentioned yet, and he's actually done quite well over the last few game weeks? Is Mark Albrighton. He's scored a goal and assist the last 2 games. I think he's one to watch because I think Leicester are actually picking up. They just look a lot brighter at the minute. I don't know if you noticed. You saw him again in the game against Spurs, and I thought they were terrific.
Yeah, he's really cheap as well. But over the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's actually been quite a good source of points. And he's quite a regular scorer. I think you're definitely onto something there. I was reading something the manager was talking about him, and he really does like him. And he was talking about how important he is to the side, and he can play in a variety of roles, not just on the wing, but within the variety of roles within midfield as well. These are really good signs, I think. I think he could be, could even be a new Magic Bean. You've got the template. You are Mr. Template here, but is there any you've got your eye on? Are you going to aim to smash your own template?
Well, Granville and I talked about it a bit earlier. I think the one team that you could take a bit of a risk is get another Liverpool mid to sort of have alongside Salah. So I'm probably not going to do it, but I'm toying with the idea of a Sané to Mane or a Coutinho move, just because Liverpool have got a good run of fixtures. There's been some rest, so potentially, if you bring in Mane, there's a bit less of a likelihood of him getting rested again. It feels a bit like sort of out of the frying pan into the fire, because you're not really sure what Klopp's up to. He seems to like giving his squad players a few games, but there is a big upside if you bring in one of these players. And I think you could argue that Sterling is due a rest. He's played a lot of games. You could argue that Sané's got these yellow cards, and their fixtures after this West Ham game do turn a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some City mids getting sold. But then it could leave you with having no City assets at all. But over a busy Christmas schedule, maybe that's a bit of a blessing. So Liverpool mids would be my recommendation. Also Pogba, because I think he's just going to play every minute. Of the next couple of games. I can't see a rest for him. So
yeah, and I think like Ramsey, this is why Karen 14 raised these two, and they're really good, Ramsey and Pogba, because they're just really steady scorers. And in a game week like this, where you're worried that your player might not start, they might get you 1 point. It's really handy to have that player there that every week is going to get you somewhere between 5 and 10 points, and that's a really nice player to have. Our next question is from a young man called Granville. Over to you, Granville.
Okay, this is a question which has come up over the years when myself and Mark were doing those audio podcasts. It's about club loyalty and how much that affects the way you play FPL. Now, this has come up, and Andy's probably smiling there, because when I was watching his playback, I didn't watch it live, but I watched some of the playback of his little FPL talk show. Little plug there for you.
You'll get the URL right. You'll get the URL right. Well, Mark's not here.
Oh, right, okay. When he was on live, and City obviously got that late goal, injury time goal. I think it was like 94th minute or something, and Sterling scores. And I had to say, Andy almost like jumped in the air,
exploded,
celebrate. He was like the most excited, wild. I'm exaggerating a bit, but he was really, really happy that Sterling had scored. and basically that could win them the league. I mean, it was gutting, really, as a United fan, and I'm just wondering why Andy didn't feel like that at that moment. And the way it is to me, I mean, I've got 3 City players. I don't particularly like City. I don't like Liverpool, and I've got Salah as well. You take the point. If they score, you take the points, fine. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't feel a bit disappointed, especially if they get a 94th minute goal and it's affected the chances of your team winning the league. Now, I came up with an example for you Brighton fans of a dilemma where Liverpool played Brighton last game of the season. Okay, Brighton need a point to stay up. Liverpool are in the Champions League slots and they need to win. 0-0. Salah goes through 1-on-1. You've got him as captain. You want him to score that goal. Do you want to score that goal? Because it makes a difference between Brighton could go down, but you could win the Mods and Cons League with that goal.
Well, I think my response, I said to you earlier, is that I wouldn't have captained Salah in that game. But there is one reason why I would, and that's because I do like to captain whoever's going for the golden boot, which he very well may be by then. And I just think getting a golden boot winner on that final day supersedes. That's my get out. And so I remember Drogba going for that golden boot.
I do.
And of course last year with Kane as well. So Kane was being threatened with Lukaku was going to overtake him, Sanchez, for the golden boot, and he just went absolutely goal mad. So that's my get out. I just, in that situation, I probably wouldn't. I think there's so many good options. I just wouldn't do it. And I think it would be partly through club loyalty. I have a similar situation this week, because it's, Andy, you said that really, because Salah should be the guy I'm captaining against the newly promoted side away from home. He's an absolute legend with points at the moment, Salah. Why am I not captaining him? And I've got a feeling, and I'm telling myself it's because I'm looking at Kane's away stats and Watford's appalling home form, and I'm wondering if you go onto something, and I'm actually not, because I'm thinking I don't want to cheer that on against Brighton. I think you might be right, but I don't know. Az, are you the same? You've got the same potential dilemma this weekend.
I was thinking about this all day. It was, it's been a it was a very good question. I mean, I started the season this year with Gross, and that wasn't because I thought Gross was going to do particularly well. I thought Brighton were really going to struggle. I wanted a Brighton midfielder in my squad so that I could, enjoy watching Brighton play. And so the two kind of go together. Like, I didn't want to watch Brighton matches and have no players and want them to lose. So that was one of the reasons why I went for him. In that example, I couldn't cheer it on. My dad's a big Brighton fan, so it would absolutely devastate him if they lost that. So it's partly a nice little reason, but also I want to have Brighton players in my team next year. I love having Brighton players in my team this year. It's great. I've got Gross and Duffy, and if they get points, it really does make me feel even happier that they're the ones that have got them. So no, I think for an FPL reason of wanting Brighton to be in the league again next year, then I would say I'll have Salah hit it into row Z.
So and Andy, can you justify your cruel deception on all your other Manchester United fans?
You got to separate the. So a bit of context. I logged in. I had 37 points. It was awful. I'd seen that live, and he scored. So yeah, it was a bit of an over celebration. But I just separate it. Whether I picked him or not, whether I celebrated or not, he's scoring that goal. Me not picking him or not celebrating the points, he's still scoring that goal. Yes, they may win the league, but that's probably because they're the best team in the league. Club loyalties don't really come into it for me. Like, I probably hold on to Man United players sometimes a bit too long, but I've already gotten rid of Lukaku twice this season because I don't think he's worth the money. If you gave me, here's one for you, Graham, which you'll hate, and I will annoy everybody in the chat. If you gave me the choice of Man United winning the league or winning the mods and cons, then I'd go for Man United winning the league. Now, if it was Man United winning the league or winning FPL, I'd take FPL. Man United got a chance to win the league again. I am never going to win FPL ever again. I would take the FPL win. 1 in 5 million.
You will not be welcome in your hometown of Manchester United for cheer.
I mean, people on YouTube are already calling you plastic fan.
I called myself plastic fan first. It's fine.
I had this is something else that came up a few years ago on a podcast with Mark. I think it did anyway. Or someone asked me, would you prefer United to win the league or England to win the World Cup?
I'd go for England to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
Is that because
we're never going to win the World Cup?
I shouldn't ask you. Let me ask John T and Az. Brighton to win the league,
Premier League.
or Premier League, or England to win the World Cup.
See, people will laugh, but then 5 years ago you said Leicester to win the Premier League, or and that happened. So you never know. I prefer Brighton to, because I follow Brighton. I like Brighton. I actually don't. I don't really. I mean, I'm English, but I don't particularly like the English football team. I haven't for a number of years. I find most of their games really boring. They just haven't. I can't remember a game that excited me. An England game that excited me.
Exactly. All England have done is let me down. I've got,
Brighton never
let me down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, recently. Yeah, but I mean, over the years, Brighton let you down pretty badly.
Never.
And let me tell you something. More chance of Brighton winning the league than England winning the World Cup.
Well, that is true.
I'll tell you, I was a couple of seasons ago when Van Gaal was in charge. I think it was his first season. We were awful up until we played Spurs and we beat them 3-0 at Old Trafford. And I was there. I think it was the first time I've ever been to Old Trafford. And I had Danny Rose and Harry Kane in my team, and we were 3-0 up. And Rose played a ball through to Kane. He was through on goal, and a little part of me just thought, we're going to win this game anyway. It wouldn't be a big deal if he scored. Do you know what I mean? Like, you saw Man United lose clean sheet, they still win the game. So I think I do that a lot. Like, you always want the unrealistic win. Like, when Man United play Man City, if I've got Lukaku and Sterling, I want Sterling to score a hat-trick, but I want Man United to win 7-3.
Yeah, 4-3,
we put up a hot topic on this on site earlier, so we've had a few responses. Az, do you want to read out some of them?
Yeah, sure. So we had some really good response on this. So GHB talks about how he normally benches players against Watford, or he sells them. He never captains players who plays Watford. But this week he's going against that, and he's captaining Kane. So he says they always thump us, and he's fed up of it. So yeah, I think he's kind of going against his own morals there. I'd love a Kane blank now, just for that. FPL Donny, so he's a Spurs fan. He captained Suarez when they beat when they beat Spurs 5-0 at White Hart Lane. And he secretly says he loved it. So, Andy, I think he's on board with you on that.
He admits it. There's so many people that secretly in their head, they might not do it out loud. They think, I'm actually quite, if Man City score against us, if it's Sterling, it'd be a little less painful than if it was someone else.
There's got to be a difference between
supporting... They're not real fans, though.
Supporting a team like United, though. You get so much glory and trophies. And
it's harder to call because...
Who cares?
I'm never going to captain anyone against Man United anyway, so it's a bit harder to answer that kind of question.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's my personal view. I think it is different if you support a kind of one of these lesser teams. So the Hindu Monkey, he's a United fan, and he half celebrated Sterling's goal last night as it won him his mini league monthly prize. Now I will go so far to say as he was not half celebrating that goal to win a prize. He was if you're half celebrating it, you're fully celebrating it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably a bit of a white lie.
I have to say though, I mean, there's no proof obviously because I wasn't doing a podcast at the time. But when Sterling scored, honestly, I was so gutted. But a minute later, I thought, oh, I've got some points, and then I was well, it's happened anyway. I take the points, but it's just that moment, and that's why I'm having the dig. Because that moment, I saw the way you were, and I didn't like it.
He had the goal disallowed, didn't he, as well, just before Sterling?
Oh yeah.
I was annoyed about that too.
I saw that, and I thought, oh, thank God! Like, surely that's it now. He's not going to score because he was the kind of the only one in that game who could really hurt me with his ownership and everyone having him and in the league and stuff. So that goal really hurt.
I mean, I think if there wasn't any doubt before that City were going to win the league, I think it's just because United had done this, when they were on top and they'd be struggling to score and they score really late goals. It's a sign of a team that's going to win the league, and that's what's a real. I thought they were going to win the league anyway, after seeing the last few weeks, but I think that's just sort of clinched it now, in my mind.
Shall I carry on, John? Or?
Yeah. You got another one there, haven't you?
So do I not like Orange? A Sunderland fan. I mean, they're not having such a good time at the moment. For most of the last 4 or 5 seasons in the Premier League, a goal against him was his only source of enjoyment he got from the match day. So I think
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's quite a good point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a BHA Seagull Brighton fan here, so this could be similar to the Sunderland fan. He said he had Gross all season, except he shipped him out just in that 3-0 win against West Brom.
That was like the third game.
The third game where he
didn't hold him for that long.
No, he had him for a bit. It seemed a long time for him, and so he missed out on his 18-point haul. So he saw his side win their first ever Premier League game, and indeed their first top flight game since 1983. It was tainted because he missed out on an 18-point haul, and
that was probably my greatest moment of fantasy.
It was
that was because his ownership was like 0.3% or something, and yeah, that was wonderful.
And we've got a last one here, Joan Liam. In 10 years, he's never picked a Tottenham player, and he even goes as far as previously not to pick anyone else. Sorry, he's never picked a Tottenham player because he's an Arsenal fan, and he even goes as far as to not pick these players when they move on because they betrayed Arsenal as well. So he wouldn't pick Nasri when he moved to City, Van Persie at Manchester United. So he missed out on that amazing Van Persie season at Manchester United. But it's definitely costing the rankings. And
we have favourites, don't we? Like there's always players who you want to bring in because you really like them. Sigurdsson's always one a fan favourite that I like, and it's nice to have these players who because I started the season with Salah because I really liked him, and yeah, it does feel good when they perform.
So,
if you remember, Anorak, who's one of our contributors, he does this suspension tightrope. He's a Spurs fan, and he never picked Spurs players up until I think it might have been last season or the season before, where I think it's the season when Kane did really well when he was cheap. I think it must have been 2 seasons ago, and that's when he changed. He thought, I can't continue playing this because I'm just handicapping myself so much. Now that Spurs are good, I've got to pick Spurs players. But I
was going to say, I always found that weird. That one. From him.
Yeah, that was weird. The other one, which is also a bit weird but more understandable, is Andy, who is a Leicester fan, and he's even
not this Andy.
Andy Goddard is a Leicester fan. He still picks Leicester players and generally has 3 of them, and quite often has 3 and one of the captains as well. And he will always stick by Leicester. And one season it worked, and that's the season that he won our mini league.
I think he's bottom this year.
Yeah.
He is, but he had one of the best scores this week. So yeah, I mean, often with Andy, it's very closely aligned. I've got some people in my mini league, a couple of Southampton fans there, and there was a couple of seasons ago, and they were just unstoppable because they were getting the likes of Tadic and Pellet in straight from the off, and it's a bit annoying. But yeah, well, let's move on to next week, and we'll have a look at some. Fancy Island risks and clean sheets. Let's go for clean sheets first. Granville, do you want to pick a clean sheet?
Yeah, I think I can't see West Ham scoring against City. City going to run out easy winners. I think that'll be my clean sheet. Man City.
Okay, and Az?
Yeah, I think there's potentially a fair few that I would pick. But I like Everton under Allardyce in his first game. I think he's going to work, hard on making them very resilient, and they're playing Huddersfield, who are struggling away from home. So I'll go for Everton.
Yeah, and Andy?
Yeah, I'm going to have a Chelsea defender in my team this week, I think, so I'll back them against Newcastle.
Yeah, I actually think I'm just going to go against my own team here. I think Liverpool are going to get another clean sheet on the road, and I just think it's because Brighton are feeling the pace, I think, of the Premier League and the tight rotation. I just think they're going to try their utmost to not concede rather than score. That's what I think there. So, yeah, moving on to Fancy Island Risk. So, Andy, have you got one for us?
Yeah, I didn't really have much time to think about. I'm going to back West Brom with a new manager. So Rondon scored recently, but I'm going to go for... no, actually, I'll go Rondon, actually. I was going to change to Matt Phillips, but I think he's got a possible hamstring injury. But yeah, Rondon up front against Palace. I know Palace are looking a bit better now defensively. Now Tompkins come in. My man Dan has been dropped, but yeah, Rondon for me.
And Az?
So my Ireland risks are just getting worse and worse. I don't think I've had any success this year at all. So let's probably carry on that trend with a player who won't start. Rotations kicking in. So Victor Moses is back from injury. He played a few minutes in the last game, so I think he could potentially start against Newcastle. And if he does, there's a potential clean sheet there, and some attacking returns might happen. So yeah, I'll go for Victor.
Granville?
And I've already mentioned him, Mark Albrighton, playing against Burnley. I think Leicester are going to run out winners in that game, and he looks nailed on now.
Yeah, so that's a good choice. I'm going to go for Charlie Austin. So obviously got he's back against Everton, got his brace there, game week 13. Then bench midweek. I've just got confidence he's going to start. I think the Southampton manager's eyeing up this game. And I think Bournemouth have been getting some clean sheets recently, but conceding 2 to Burnley at home, I think that doesn't bode well there. So I think Austin's going to get something in that game. So yeah, we'll move on to what we're going to be doing for the game week ahead and how we're coping with rotation. So I mean, yeah, Granville first. So I know you've got some midfield issues there, but yeah, what are your plans and who captain?
I guess it's Zaha. It's what to do with him. Palace have this great run of fixtures, but I don't know. He's just so erratic. I just can't rely on him. And with Loftus-Cheek, I might as well just keep Loftus-Cheek and get rid of him. So I'm thinking of upgrading him and downgrading Jesus. I could downgrade him to Rooney even. I know he got his hat-trick. It does look very, very knee-jerk. But, with Rooney, he's a type of player who goes on these runs. He did it for United a lot, where he scored a bag full of goals and then went quiet for a while. I know it is Everton, but they've got decent fixtures. So I think there is a chance. Or I might actually... The other thing I could do is just... swap Zaha out for a cheaper midfielder and just save the money and then look to upgrade one of these defenders.
Not tempted by Ashley Young, Granville?
Yeah, I did mention him a few weeks ago, didn't I? I did do. It's just that position. I mean, if he's getting forward and taking free kicks, then yeah. I mean, why not? 4.9 is he? How much is he?
I think there's just the frustration, isn't there? Because he's essentially the same as Valencia. And Valencia's a defender.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
I know he's playing. He's sort of in a midfield role, wing back. But if he's going to get that close to the box, then yeah, it's good.
We've got back 10 years with Rooney and Young hauling with these massive points. I don't know what's going on. This week was just the weirdest week. I just want to. I'm so glad it's over. Let's just move on and.
So Granville, who are you thinking of captaining, Granville?
I think. Well, I'm going to have to captain. City players. I mean, against West Ham, there's got to be goals there. Salah would be the one that I'm thinking. Keep missing out on him. Is this a week when I go for him? But I think Brighton are actually quite tough to score against at home. I think. It'll probably be Aguero.
Okay, good. And Az, what are you up to for this game week 15?
I just don't really know. It's really difficult. I know that's a catchphrase of this Scoutcast, really, but it really is. I'd like to save I'd like to save a transfer and have two, because I've got quite a few players who are walking this suspension tightrope, and it gives me a chance to move on some. So Duffy, Sané, if they do get another yellow, then I can switch them out and sort of be a bit happier. I'm gonna wait for news on Sané. If he's out again, if there's any news about him being out, then I probably will switch him out for someone, and probably one of the Liverpool mids. But if there's no news or whatever, then I'll just take the risk and hope he plays. Because I agree with Granville. I think they're just going to decimate City. So I definitely want to have one attacker in that match.
And you, who are you thinking of captain?
And captain will be Hazard. He's had the rest. Newcastle are just shipping goals left, right, and centre. If they're shipping 2 goals to West Brom, then I think Chelsea are just gonna turn him over as well. So yeah, Hazard, I think he's a good pick this week.
And Andy?
Yeah, I could probably get away with doing nothing this week, but I don't really want to play double Burnley goalkeeper defence. So I think I can afford to get in Alonso for Maguire or Christensen for Dan. So I'm probably going to get Christensen and save and basically have 1.2 million in the bank. I think as mentioned earlier, looks kind of nailed on at this point. He's probably going to miss the odd game, but so be it if he misses one game over Christmas. So yeah, I'm going to bring in Christensen, and captain-wise, we should all be captaining Salah, but of course we won't. So I'm going to captain. The fact that Man United got so many chances, though, I really think it should probably be Kane. But I'm going to go stick with Hazard. I think after missing out on last week, I just like Az just said, I think they could rip Newcastle apart. So going to go for him.
Okay, yeah. Well, I said earlier, I've got David Silva. And I want Eden Hazard, and so I'm looking at spending a hit to have a make weight as well to make that move. I'm part of me's quite reluctant to get rid of David Silva because he's got that rest, and he's quite a steady scorer, but he's not a prolific scorer, as Hazard can get anything, get a huge score. And also, I didn't realise I'm starting to hemorrhage funds as well. So I've already lost 0.1. I'm possibly going to lose 0.2 by the end of this evening. I've also got Cedric. I didn't even notice I've lost 0.2 on him as well. So it's possible that Cedric, to a cheap defender, or Murray, who I think is going to get a rest, who I don't think he's going to do very well against Liverpool anyway. And I'm looking at Everton players, so it's that make weight. So Hazard, Silva, and I'm looking at see what Allardyce would do. Now, I don't know if I'm going a bit Magic Bean with John Joe Kenny as 4.3. He has started the last few. I just don't know whether he's going to be an Allardyce player, but he does fit the bill. He's nice and cheap. And that would be a nice make weight there. Everton have got strong fixtures. Other than that, I think it's probably more likely to be one of their strikers, but it's a bit annoying. I think I'd like a couple more weeks to assess whether it's Calvert-Lewin or Niasse who's going to be the kind of Allardyce player. I think a lot of people are assuming it's going to be Niasse. There's even an assumption that he's a taller player as well for some reason, though, but he's not actually. Calvert-Lewin is taller than him. And I looked at headed goal attempts, so this is an Allardyce stat. Now, Allardyce is the stat man. He always has been since Bolton. For Everton players, headed goal attempts, Calvert-Lewin this season 12, Niasse 1. So that says to me that I think Calvert-Lewin may be the one until Allardyce gets someone in.
That's a worrying stat as a Niasse owner.
I'm worried about it.
I get that. Now, Niasse has got 5 goals and Calvert-Lewin's got 1. So that is the stat that should count. But knowing that Sam Allardyce is a bit of a statsman there, and he likes to have someone who goes for goal like that, is always like that from whether it be Benteke or Kevin Davis. So, yeah, possibly Calvert-Lewin.
Does Rooney not interest you at all?
He doesn't interest me at the moment because he'd be upgrading Murray, and whereas I could upgrade a midfielder to Hazard. And as lovely as Rooney is, he's no Eden Hazard, so he's not my project. But I will be monitoring him and possibly getting him in. He is a Sam Allardyce type player, I think there. But I just wanted to mention as well, because Mark emailed us as well to say he's looking at finally sorting out that goalkeeper situation. So he says I've gone for Pope already, so he may have already made that move to repair the potential Elliott hole. He said, but he still thinks Elliott's going to start now. So and he's annoyed with Fabianski, who he had been considering, I believe, and he's captaining. It's between Kane and Hazard. That's very similar to me. They're the two I'd be getting. If I get Hazard in, I'll be thinking about that. For myself, I think I kind of earmarked Kane for this game, and I think I'm going to try and stick with that. I think Kane's actually been quite good to me as a captain. Not amazing, but he's at least got me some points rather than 1 point like Morata or Hazard. Yeah.
By the way, Mark has done he's done two transfers.
Yes, he mentioned as well that he was also considering Christensen for a hit, so he's fully considered and now taken that move as well. So maybe he was listening earlier, and some of our Christensen chat there. So yeah, good there.
So Dan for Christensen, and did he have the money?
He's just trying to make my team.
Yeah,
he is.
No, he did, because we talked about it last time. He had pots of cash, and we were speculating he was getting all sorts of players like Pele because he just seemed to have loads of money. Yeah, he's got. So
he's gone for a hit. Cash. So he's gone for a hit with a defender.
Yeah,
interesting.
But on that, well, that's put a real downer on the end there. But other than the sadness of Mark using a transfer on a defender, I think that's quite a good move though, Christensen. I think it's been interesting going down to the bare bones of the bench. But it's a good night.
Kind of
from
restored now. It's quite nice.
It's been restored and nice. But yeah, so yeah, good night from me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.